I am now elite hacker boy. But first I sleep. Maywick. Ethan says Maywick is on their way. You need to leave the station, get protection, or disable your tracker before they arrive. Fuck. Well, here comes that. That's it's a much longer timer, but it seems like it's like the real version of the previous timer, essentially. So we're not dealing with that threat in the long term. The game's just a bit more forgiving than it first seemed. This is, yeah, I can't do this again. That sucks. That sucks. So I gotta try to deal with the fact that this guy is fucking my life up. Alright, so... I don't know what the negative consequences of each of these are. But I'm not gonna suffer them because of my +1. I get a +1 either way. Ooh. Neutral outcome has -2 energy. Shit. Okay, so let's eat. Fuck. Boom. Alright, fucking Ethan. Oops. Tried to pay my way past the objective. Let's work the front and the back. Boom! Double positive and bonus energy from Thrill Seeker. So now I'm full up. Without the bad. That's a Yatagan 1. I was trying to get a Havenage 1, but is there a Havenage 1? Havenage 2? Is Havenage always a 2 and Yatagan always a 1? Maybe. This game likes to roll me some 1s. I don't think I have a place to spend an encrypted key. Unfortunately. Alright, well, back to juggling all sorts of problems. Complete active scenes. Where? Oh. Oh, this meeting. As you approach the address Rabia gave you, a heavy hand falls on your shoulder. What's your business here? The enforcer grips your shoulder, giving a hint of the strength her implant gives her. As you turn, you see the same subsidiary eyes as Rabia and Toshiro, glinting like mirrors on her cheeks. Gia, please. The sleeper is here on my invitation. At Rabia's command, the hand immediately loosens, and an apologetic look replaces the scowl on Gia's face. Of course, Rabia, I'm sorry. Rabia waves her away. Don't you worry, I appreciate your protective instincts. She smiles at the enforcer. How about you head to the tambour? They have a delivery coming, and they'll need some help with the lifting. Gia nods and walks away. So, Sleeper, you came. I'm glad. It's almost like you had no choice, like the game made you. It didn't feel like an offer. I'm sorry for that. She smiles a tight smile. You have to understand, finding you there in Sabine's unit, I wasn't sure where we stood. There are more than a few people on this station who would rather I was dead. I had to be sure you weren't one of them. I wish you no harm. I am glad. Rabia begins walking and gestures for you to walk with her. She takes you down a staircase into the bustling walkways at the low end. What do you know about Yatagan? You run the low end. She laughs. That sounds impressive. We run out of the low end, yes, we don't run it. People with carts push past, moving crates of supplies around the thin and winding passages. Our reputation is one that implies threat. Is that fair to say? We are framed as aggressors, parasites, criminals. He gestures around at the people in the passageway. But when was the last time you saw a lawmaker on the Eye? A policeman? Who makes the laws here? Erlin did. Indeed. You understand the history then. That is good. But Erlin is long dead, Sleeper, and his rules were little more than an optimist's manifesto. The Eye has changed so much since then. Is she about to make the argument for anarchy? If you had spent your time in the low end, maybe your opinion of us would be different. This is our place, our people. The low end was empty in Erlin's time. They didn't need to house thousands and keep the yards and the rotunda safe as work. And keeping the yards and the rotunda safe was work enough. No, the low end was reclaimed later, when the refugees started arriving. Rabia meets your eye. The collapse didn't just happen here, on this station. When Solheim collapsed, the entire system felt it. Colonies were abandoned. The moons of Ember and Cinder suddenly gained independence overnight. Some took advantage. Some tried to hold it together. Some fled. The Eye became a refuge, and Erlin, to his credit, extended an open hand to everyone. But many within his organization disagreed, and those new arrivals weren't as simple to corral as they hoped. Rabia leads you through a small market hall, busy with small stalls and traders. Erlin's union was made of workers, administrators, people who were malleable and already organized into hierarchies and networks. The refugees came from different factions and families. Were scared, injured, desperate. Conflict was inevitable. Yatagan is a child of that conflict. A child born out of the need for us to stand up and claim our future, to provide security, strength. People call us a gang, but we are a community. I take my position as lieutenant seriously, and from my birth I have worked to earn it. Rabia catches herself before she raises her voice any further, and you both walk in silence for a while, among the smells and textures of the low end. You start to wonder if this place could be a home for you, too. Where do I come into this? Rabia smiles to herself, and thinks for a moment before she responds. I believe that you understand the importance of a refuge, so I also believe that you wish to help keep this place safe. She exhales quietly. For this reason, I would like you to trust me. I do not know what Sabine told you about us, but I imagine it was not good. I will be honest with you, Sleeper. I was never comfortable with having Sabine as part of the Yatagan. An ex-corporate employee? It goes against our nature. But their deal was with Yannick. I kept my distance, made sure Sabine had her surgery. I had their surgery, kept it supplied. That was all. But I cannot allow people to go back on the promises they have made to us. Yatagan has not lasted this long because it is a charity. We offer and ask for support. Any betrayal will be treated as an attack. They were trapped, desperate. Many on the Eye are, Sleeper. I am sorry, but we must ask that our debts are paid in full. Sabine found something. Please, I don't want to hear their accusations. They only wanted to escape their debt. They would have said anything. But where are they now, to stand behind their claims? I will find them. As will we. You realize that Rabia has led you in a loop, and together you come back up a staircase to the walkway where you met. You are free to go, Sleeper. I have said what I wish to say. She looks out through the windows of the walkway. I would protect this place with my life, as it has protected me. I want to make that clear. She turns back. However, if you too wish to come under its protection, I can help you. Return here if you wish, and there will be tasks for you to complete. You will be able to see Yatagan, to see the low end, with your own eyes, not as others frame us. As for Sabine, she pauses to consider her words. I will not ask you to betray them, but if they contact you again, consider their motivations carefully. With that, Rabia leaves, slipping back into her office, while you stare out at the countless units, each a home, each with a story, that make up the low end. Well, that gives you something to think about a little bit. They're definitely not innocent. They would do a violence on you, most likely. But they are the semblance of order. It's kind of like the Yakuza argument. Like the thing that makes the Yakuza seemingly different from like movie mobsters is the idea that they do ultimately like invest in the world and like try to improve elements, and they have like a history of doing good things, but also maybe a history of doing a lot of bad things, so don't fall too hard for the borderland propaganda that they're so great, actually. But they're better than the first glance version of what you would take as being what the Yakuza would be. Maybe. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna lose my third dice soon, so let's go ahead and use the stabilizer now. That's my limit in my brain. I'm just like, nope, I'm not going down to 2 dice. You can't make me. Fang. As you arrive, Fang comes striding towards you, taking you by surprise. Let's go, sleeper. He puts a hand on your shoulder and turns you back the way you came. Go where? To see Hardin Hurst. He gives you a sideways glance. Isn't that what you were here for? He steps in the passageway, guiding you down ring towards the shipyard. Sorry for the hurry, but we have something of an opportunity. That data you ripped. Well done, by the way. He grins. Tells me Hardin is making a rare inspection of the sidereal horizon this cycle. It's the perfect chance to confront him outside of that compound he hides in. Fang takes a sharp turn into a dimly lit side passage. Confront him. That's right. It's the perfect time. Fang slows. And slips into a dark service tunnel where, somewhere in the black, a water pipe drips. It's him, sleeper. The same Hardin Hurst. Our worm ripped out decades of records that mention him by name, an entire trail of documentation from the first days of the Solheim collapse until now. He rode out the whole thing, slipped into Havenage when it first broke off from the Union. He paces in the tunnel, a hand rubbing at the back of his head. I need you to understand something about Solheim, sleeper. I don't know what you know about the collapse, but it wasn't as instant as it sounds. It wasn't like Solheim was there, running the station one day, and then the next Erlin unions took power. Back then, Solheim knew this place was slipping away from them. As the palladium market collapsed, they tried to keep the contractors here working. The pay got smaller, the cost higher. People like my parents were forced to work non-stop just to keep a berth on the station and water in their tanks. Solheim squeezed every last worker until the mistakes, the accidents, were coming in non-stop. And as new waves of contractors came in, despite the work, desperate to work, Solheim welcomed them, taking bribes instead of checking pilot licenses. The whole time, Solheim was folding up, dragged into court cases in the central systems, while this severed limb of a station still desperately tried to take all it could. The riots came after the collision at Dock 2. A young pilot, his MEV, or overloaded with palladium, miscalculated his trajectory and took out a section of the ring. Hundreds died. Thousands panicked. My parents told me people were terrified, and the blame fell squarely on Solheim. People like to tell stories about Erlin, how he brought the factions together, spoke to the crowds, turfed out Solheim. Maybe that's true, but my mother, pregnant with me, locked herself in their MEV and welded it to the dock, while my mother joined the improvised crews trying to seal up the ragged edges of the gap. He never came back. Fang pauses in the dark. They sealed it up, though, and by the time they did, Solheim was gone, abandoning every one of us to the black. Apart. Fang finally turns back to you now. his eyes burning. From shits like Hardin, shits who held their place, rode it out, and slipped into the new structure like nothing had changed, standing shoulder to shoulder with those they had exploited at every step. Feng starts walking again. That's why I can't just let him strut about the shipyard. This time, his past catches up with him. How is he still alive? Clearly you don't know much about executives. That kind of power comes with certain benefits. Feng rejoins the main passageway, which is now wide and glass-roofed. Through the ceiling you can see ships in mid-construction, their flanks lit by the flashes of plasma torches. The entrance to the shipyard is ahead. This is crazy. Feng turns to look at you. Don't come then. I won't force you. You stand across from each other in the corridor. What is it then, sleeper? You coming or not? I'm coming. Feng grins. Let's go show this shithead some consequences. He strides to the shipyard entrance and pushes through the doors. A web of corridors lead through the complex. Snatches of the construction bays always appearing through windows. Ships are suspended like whale corpses, skeletal, imposing. Feng seems to know exactly where he's going, and before long you cross into a huge dry dock locked to one side of the sidereal horizon. A network of platforms and scaffolding clings to the ship's hull, filled with workers and equipment. The sound is stretched out by the vast space, so that the welding, cutting, and sealing seems to come from everywhere at once. Both you and Feng spot them at the side at the same time. A group walking slowly across a gantry, and at the front, two men, one gesturing towards the ship, and the other stick-thin, cleanly dressed, with a shock of gray hair. Hardin. You and Feng say his name in unison, and Feng sets off up the staircase to the gantry, with you following behind. As you come to the same level, the group is passing closer, the foreman gesturing to the work being done throughout the dock, and Hardin nodding along. Hardin Hurst, Feng shouts across the noise, taking you by surprise. His voice bounces and comes back in a rippling echo. The figures turn. Yes? Hardin asks quizzically, raising an eyebrow. He glances between you and Feng, and you see his gaze linger on your body, unsure why a sleeper might be in this place. You are a traitor, Hardin, a Solheim executive who tried to hide here amongst its victims. Feng's voice is steady, strong. You stand for everything the Eye was rebuilt in the shadow of, against everything Erlin stood for, everything Havenage stands for. You have no place on this station. For a moment, stillness descends on the group, as if everyone is held in place by the rattle of construction. Hardin laughs. Well, good to meet you too. He glances around at those around him. Some are smiling, the others nervous. Are you from the systems? You are from the systems branch, are you not? Asks Hardin, inspecting Feng's clothing. Feng turns to the foreman. You need to call your security. This man is a corporate agent. The foreman glances between Feng and Hardin, his hands drumming at his sides. Hardin leans towards him and says something inaudible. The foreman nods. It's true. As he begins speaking, Hardin turns his attention to you. And what would a sleeper know about that? You accuse me of being a corporate agent. What are you, if not exactly that? He looks around at the group, who are already eyeing you in suspicion. You are a product of Essenarp. You have no place in a Havenage shipyard. Who knows what signals you are sending back to your makers? A murmur of approval runs through the group. Feng holds up a stick of memory. You've guessed right. I am systems, and I have records that link you directly to Solheim right here. He turns to the foreman again. So, once again, I am asking you to take this man into the custody of the shipyard. The foreman remains still. Hardin's voice is calm, measured. If you have such data, why hasn't it been submitted at a members' meeting for proper review? He shakes his head. I have nothing to hide, unlike a man who does not announce his name, who enters my shipyard with corporate property in tow and tries to turn my own men against me. You hear it now, the echoing sound of boots on walkways coming from all angles at once, and then settling behind you. Please, says Hardin, submit the data through the correct channels, then we can talk. For now, however, you must leave. He gestures behind you to the security detail, their hands on boxy black sidearms at their sides. Feng spits. Hardin, you shithead, you can't wriggle out of this one. A security officer draws their weapon and levels it. Feng turns and stares him down. Calm Feng. You look at Feng, who shakes his head and puts a hand on your shoulder. Let's go, says Feng, and he pushes through security, heading back down the walkway. Once security has walked you out the shipyard and nudged you back into the corridor, Feng picks up pace. You try to keep up as he slips into the shadows of an entrance. Feng is grinning ear to ear. You know, Sleeper, sometimes people are exactly how you expect them to be. Something pings in his pocket and he takes it out. On the slate, a web of connection starts drawing itself out, stretching to a set of points around the ring. Got him, mutters Feng. What's going on? Hardin is doing what any snaky shithead always does, calling his friends. We're tracking his outgoing messages. Feng's grin looks ghostly in the uplight of his screen. The old ways are best. Spook 'em good enough and they'll give the game away. He jabs at the slate, and you see the web is being drawn over a map of the ring, lines bouncing from point to point. All these dots? These are Hardin's buddies, the ones he's messaging right now, and we are going to find them all. That was on purpose? Of course. Hardin isn't working alone. We need the full set or nothing. Feng glances around and slips the slate back into his pocket. We better split for now, Sleeper. But this is exactly what we needed. Good hunting. With a pat on your shoulder, Feng drifts away, back into the flow of people around the shipyard entrance. You watch him go, unsure whether to be angry or impressed. I mean, good job. What he did was a big deal. Alright, so I got that goal. Let's deal with this. Boop. Get rid of my negative at long last, so I no longer have a negative skill. Which means I can do those actions. Well, actually, I think I need to get a +1 before I can do those actions. But at the very least, I no longer will have... at the very least, I'll no longer be blocked from them, or at least I won't suffer the consequences whenever they do come up. Because that sucks, being so bad at intuition that it gives me a negative skill modifier. So he wants to get the whole damn network. And that did count as finishing the objective. So whatever objective he's going for next counts as a new objective and not the return of the previous one. But I still need to help him chase his leads, apparently. Dude still isn't disabling my tracker, you son of a bitch. The ship is here, that's the one that that I've already wasted. I ultra wasted it. Not only did it not give me the ship mind I needed, but it also, I used up the scrap only to find out immediately afterwards what I could have used the scrap for, so. GG, bruh. It's gonna take a while to get these, but he can eventually give me a ship mind. Or Havenage. I do have a 2. Which means Havenage. Just 2 more of those. Just 2 more 2s. And I'll have a ship mind from that. Just a fragment though, right? I'm pretty sure. So many icons now, holy shit. Wait, is that an entire ship mind? That makes sense, because the ship mind fragment is worth like 20. Whereas a ship mind is comparable to the price of a stabilizer. Oh shit, I don't need to buy anything then. Just hack these 5 things and I get a ship mined. I think it's... right? Yeah, he just said ship mined. Oh, he's a big deal. This guy's got fucking connections, huh? You can become a Yatagun insider. Patrol the ward. Yatagun performs many roles, from protection to logistics and everything in between. You never know what you may have to face on a patrol. Or collect tithes. Yatagun operates on an in-kind basis. You are told, and tithes for goods or services must be collected in exchange for protection and administration. That's payment. Yatagun insider. However you feel about Yatagun, it seems working with Rabia is your best chance to get insight into the organization. The question is whether or not that's a thing I really want to do overall. I have high dice rolls that I can use to with the there's a compressor. Yeah, this will become a 6, which means I don't have any negative outcomes. And I get paid. It just eats these things up. So positive might do something, but positive does not. I think positive might just be the lack of using energy. Let's see if this is a neutral. Neutral outcome reduces energy. Wow, this place sucks. So normally a positive outcome gives you double bonus on the progression thing, but we're not usually the progression thing is like how much work you're doing or how much progress you're making with your work or so on. But this progression is just your debt. It's just Ethan's debt. So it's just money, and they're not going to pay you more for having a good shift. So the usual benefit of a bonus of a positive outcome isn't there. You can't pay his debt faster. And so the way they've done it here is that all the positive outcome does is make you not lose energy, because you lose energy with a neutral outcome. This place sucks, and I'm not even getting paid because I'm getting his pay. This guy's gonna fuck me, isn't he? Alright, 2 more havages, and then I can... So 2 more times that I roll a 2, and then I can get rid of the hacker problem, hopefully. And then I can hack for free. Whoa! Whoa! I'm about to pay off some fucking debt this chapter. Wow! Can this go any better? Work at the front? Oh, that is double debt. Oh shit. Wait, a positive at the front gives me double debt bonus. Oh. Well, fuck the back then. Look at me go. Yeah, I'll save my better one. I don't need a positive, I just need a good enough. I lost some energy. I can use that elsewhere. They are never going to release my debt, the shits. Ethan kicks at the locker and the sound rattles loudly around the room. Ethan paces around the small room, swearing to himself. You watch him from the locker room bench. Why not? Why not? He spits on the floor, an old habit. They like having sniveling little shits like us to work their club. Saves on the overheads and they get to boss us around. He kicks the locker again and swears. What did they say? Some shit about getting back to me. I swear to God, these are the most straight-edged gangsters I have ever seen. He laughs at his own joke. I can't do it. I can't spend another shift stopping spacers, bringing nail guns into the club, or pouring endless shots of G-roll for ignorant Havenage work crews. He looks at the locker again, threatening it with a final kick. I mean it. I'm gonna go there and shoot every single one of those shits. He makes a finger gun. Hold on. Don't get all excited. I haven't got my gun, remember? He stops pacing. But you know, Sleeper, that's not a bad idea you have there. I didn't have an idea. He ignores you. I don't mean shooting up the place, I mean getting the gun. He sits behind you on the bench. Think about it. What am I supposed to do when Maywick gets here? Shout him down? I need that gun if you want me to keep my end of the deal. It's simple. An explosive personality for a distraction at the front. He places a hand on his own chest. A sneaky sleeper to go in the back. He pats your chest. What about the dead? We've done our time. And the wounds, they've faded. If they don't notice us take the gun, they'll never know it's gone. Plus, he stands up. After my distraction, they'll be happy to see the back of me. Or they'll want you dead even more. Either works. At least, oop. Oh, that's weird. That's weird that the interface is there. At least I'd never have to see the inside of this shithole again. He gives the locker one last kick for good luck. Let me know when you want to do this. Then we both move as one and meet up in the bright market after. But don't take too long, or I really will shoot this place up. He grins. You know I'll do it. Wow, he's so good choices, boy. Making all the good choices. Well, shit. Okay, so that's happening. He's slowly creeping towards getting here. What is Feng's Bay? It's like a negative at. Why does it say negative? Ever since your trip to the shipyard, Feng has been missing from his bay. What's going on? Is he in trouble? Why is it a red timer instead of a yellow timer? Yellow timers are neutral to positive and red timers are bad. What is it building up to? It's giving me concern. Grab the gun. 100% positive. I guess I'll do it. You know where the lockup is? And Ethan's gun has been there since the bartender took it. Time to take it back. What could go wrong? I get shot. Hey, energy from being such a thrill seeker. The gun tucked safely into a pocket, you work your way down the stairs that lead up to the office. The doorman passes you in exchange. The doorman passes and you exchange nods. It seems like you're in the clear. You hurry on, eager to get out before anyone spots anything. As you come down the main stairway into the front of the club, you see Ethan entering. He has a dark look in his eyes, which troubles you. He's reaching into the pocket of his coat, slowly, carefully. You catch his eye and he raises an eyebrow. You shake your head. A long pause. Then he nods and turns around, walking back out of the club. You exhale, not realizing you were holding your breath. And then you are out, without a single shout, without anyone noticing. You meet Ethan around the corner, on a quiet, bright market hallway. It kind of sounds like the distraction never happened, like we just went ahead and just did it without him. You have it? He looks nervous. What were you doing back there? I was about to start a distraction, like we agreed. He sighs. Just show me. You lift it out of your pocket, and it is colder, heavier than you expected. Ethan watches you take it out. Nice. Now, if you would, he beckons with his hand. A memory jumps into your mind of Ethan and the compressor, hand out, asking for his gun back. A memory followed by the memory of a sharp, dizzying pain. You flinch. Wait. Ethan gestures again. Come on. Hand it over. No. Funny. Ethan narrows his eyes. Well, so you either handed over or you pointed at him. There is so little reason to trust him. Is the problem? He even talked about you like someone that he could train via this abuse and so on. But also the alternative's probably a really bad idea. Point the gun at Ethan. Ethan laughs. So you can learn. He smiles. Well done, you. Unfortunately, it's a little too late. You notice the hand in his pocket. You had so many cycles to try to end this, and yet here you are. What are you talking about? You still don't get it, do you, sleeper? Ethan spits. When they canceled that contract, I lost everything. My reputation, my payout, any way of getting off this shitty station. Everything. All I had left was you, he grins. A naive little sleeper with the heart of gold. I couldn't believe it worked, he laughs. And now, we are done. But the contract is canceled. No shit, Ethan smiles. He stares fearlessly at you. I can't believe you thought I'd kill one of my own for you. For what? Helping me wash dishes? He laughs. Maywick is like me. We understand each other. He's here, you know, on the station. I've been speaking to him. He tells me we can split the contract. Not 50-50, but enough of a finder's fee that I can get out of this shithole. He's lying. At this point, sleeper, I'm not sure you are the one I'd trust to spot a lie. He winks. Doesn't matter either way. Ethan grins. I already called him. Ethan glances around. I have learned one thing from you, though, sleeper, and all of our cycles working at that shitty club. He smiles. People never know when to cut and run. It's like they freeze in the headlights when the future is bearing down on them. They watch it coming. Watch their death flying in at fraction drive speed. You had every chance, and yet you still kept on going, like some idiot robot, going through the motions when you knew you'd get crushed. He smirks. And let me tell you something else. The shot enters through his upper back, and he crumples immediately to the ground. You drop too, without thinking, pressing yourself to the walkway floor like it might save you. Silence. There's Maywick, the hunter. You look up and see him coming down the walkway, silent, eyes alight. Maywick. You freeze in fear. Here it comes. Move. You can't. Move. You inch forward. Move. You go for it. You rush forward and a shot sounds out. You feel it ripple over your back. Then you're lifting the gun, and you scramble to your knees behind Ethan's body and fire. You close your eyes. You fire again and again and again, until the clip is empty and all that are left are clicks. Then you drop the gun and stand up. You don't hear anyone running. You don't hear anything. You just hear the sound of your own breath. You start walking, stepping over Ethan's static body, walking along the walkway, and then you passed Maywick. And then past Maywick, his eyes now dark, some mechanical fluid leaking from his chest. Perhaps the same fluid that's inside you. You try not to think about it. You keep going, and the sound comes back. The eye comes back. As it does, you hear the sound of thousands of people getting on with their lives. Thousands of people who are just going to keep going until they can't anymore. You look up and all you see are the whirling stars. They're spinning around. They are spinning, and you are suddenly dizzy. Though the eye has always spun like this, hasn't it? And you don't stop walking. You keep going. That's all there is now. The path forward. S and ARP have left you no history. No past to speak of. Just a void of threats that Just a void that threatens to swallow you if you slow down. You think of Ethan's smile, his voice, and feel sick. Is it over? You aren't sure it ever can be. But you are still here, and you can't stop now. There has to be a better end than this. Well, shit. That cutscene that story ended differently than it initially you thought it would do from the beginning. Why we started that cutscene? Whatever, that sentence was a mess. So, both of them are dead, Ethan and Maywick. Maywick was real, but also he was working with... Alright, a lot was happening there. Maywick may have been a sleeper? Which is like simultaneously good, bad, like... The bittersweet ending of like, I think when a sleeper dies, the actual sleeping person is released from their contract and they finish, then they get paid. So we're kind of eternally... There's a guilt that happens here. As long as we keep clawing on, preserving our own life, the person that we are a copy of doesn't get their life back. But like, I don't know, eventually we'll die, I guess. But if we go on for long enough, that person's original life is over. I assume they're in stasis and they come back at the same age and so on, but the world continued on without them, so who knows how long that goes for them. But like, we don't want to die. So we just killed Maywick. So that's a person whose life is over, but the person that they went to sleep as wakes up now, I think. But given that he was taking contracts to kill other sleepers, I'm not sure we should care that much. Well. This is interesting. So this will just tell us what dice rolls do. It's a good thing to have. And soon I'll have all the +1s and I'll have to start saving up. It's the choice of whether or not we think it's worth it to save up for the final ones. God, instant karma would be pretty good. That's probably the one I should save up for. Hard to kill is the one I could almost qualify for at the beginning, and like, it continually just doesn't seem that worth. It means I can ride the health bar further down without losing my second dice, which improves the efficiency of stabilizers, basically. Yeah, instant karma is definitely the one I'm most interested in out of the second tier right now. First tier, it might be worth getting this so that I just get some random money when I hack, depending on how much longer I'll keep hacking, but given the lack of usefulness of low dice rolls, the hacking might forever be useful, so I might want to do that regardless. But alright. One less ticking clock to deal with.